it's a very complicated situation, as you can well imagine, trying to grasp, which is why I'm reading it. We're going to ask you questions. By the way, if you prove unworthy of it, it would be like renouncing, French are big on being worthy of it. When the French went to Africa, West Africa, and got their colonies there, they were different than the English. The English tried to stay aloof from the native populations in their colonies. The Frenchmen wanted to make all the people in their colonies little Frenchmen. That is in, I can't name half the countries of West Africa, but if you went to Paris and you met the French African people sitting in the cafes in Paris.
Nigerian.
Nigeria's a special
They speak
case.
French.
No, I'm talking about Black Africa now. Ivory Coast.
Nigeria speaks French?
No, Nigeria. I thought you meant Algeria. I thought you said.
No, Nigeria.
No, Nigeria. Not Nigeria. English. Always was. No, I'm talking about Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, Senegal, Chad. A lot of those, but I'm not talking about North Africa. I mean, Algeria, Morocco, this was another problem. And it is today too. I mean, these are all vast subjects and you can do whole courses on them. But in any case, they wanted the people that they came in contact with to become Frenchmen and to speak French and to absorb the French language. I don't know if you've seen pictures of the battlefields of the First World War. The French have a lot of black African troops in the pictures. If you notice, there's a lot of black African troops from West Africa in their army in the First World War. I mean, they had no stake in this war, but they were up there as Frenchmen giving their life for it. They were there, and they weren't shirkers either. They stood on the line, and I don't know if they got much honor for it, but okay. So these are the questions French always say. You should not forget. Prove unworthy of it. Say that to an African French, colonial from different countries in West Africa. That would be very honorable. You are going to be French, and a lot of them are very pro-French to this day in their culture. I mean, you go to West Africa, it's totally Francophone. They succeeded where the English didn't. But the English too, in the countries that they were in, people began to admire English culture like India and Kenya, Nigeria, but not so much in Africa as the French. And the Indians were always split on that. They liked English Scotch, English woolens, things like that, but they didn't like the English class system, and they didn't like a lot of other things. English didn't treat people as equal. Even in the Americas, the French treated the American Indians as equals. They intermixed with them. The French trappers would have Indian wives and everything. They said, well, did the Indian trappers have French wives? Well, no, it didn't go that far. They didn't have a lot of, French women out here to do that. But nowadays they might. But back then they didn't. But no, they had what was called, I guess you'd say, miscegenation. They freely mixed and produced. Hollywood used to love that sort of thing, the old Hollywood Westerns. He's a breed, they loved that kind of, issue. They made a huge issue in the Hollywood Westerns, and of these people that were mixed. But the French were very widespread across their activities. And the Indians liked the French for that reason. They really did, because the French mixed. The French mixed with them and so on, and they didn't pull snob rank on them. Okay, the English did, and they never mixed as such. They never intermarried if they could have. Never. I don't know, they're supposed to be democratic English, but I guess they weren't. So the French wanted people to become Frenchmen. I'm not even sure any other country felt this way. As to us, our most ardent wish, in the middle of the page, to be able to report to the emperor. I think these are Jewish representatives who have gone and gotten Napoleon's point of view and are taking it to their assembly. And it's quoting what the instructions they've gotten. that among individuals of the Jewish persuasion, you see, this is now not nationality. It's just a religion, like any other religion. You know, as people, you're French. Your belief, something else again. The way we sometimes see it in America. I don't think we always see it like that, but sometimes. Of the Jewish persuasion, he can reckon as many faithful subjects determined to conform in everything to the laws and the morality which ought to regulate the conduct of all what?
French.
Frenchmen. You are a Frenchman. This is a great Napoleonic gesture. You know, Napoleon went to Egypt. You're familiar with Napoleon's campaign in Egypt? And he took an army, landed it on, unfortunately, had the British fleet behind him. You know what happened to his campaign in Egypt? The British sunk his fleet off of the coast of Alexandria. I forget what the name of the battle was. It was in 1801 or something like that. And stranded him in Egypt. But in the meantime, he had fought the Battle of the Pyramids. And he had made a proclamation, you know, Napoleon is a Muslim. And I invite all Muslims to become freed, basically Frenchmen, you know, or something like that. And it was a huge, you know, proclamation for the time. And it did produce, as time went on over the 1800s, 19th century, the stirrings of Arab nationalism. Arab nationalism were really triggered by Napoleon's appearance in Egypt. He had to scurry back to France, ultimately lost his whole army to the British, who had marooned him there, and they finally surrendered to the British. But fought some really nasty campaigns there. You might be interested. It's around the beginning of the 1800s. Anyway, this is after that. He needs more army. He's lost a lot in different places. Okay, so now here are the questions that they are going to ask. So this is your question here. What's the issue here? What could be a problem? And it might relate to America too, religious belief and tradition. Is it lawful for Jews to marry more than one wife? I thought I was right. I just mentioned that vis-a-vis the Mormons. That's just the first deal. Is divorce allowed? Is it valid when pronounced in a court of justice? Under the French Civil Code. Not in your religious courts only. Yeah, you can have a divorce in your religious courts, but are you going to recognize divorce under the French Civil Code? Can a Jewess marry a Christian? Or a Jew a Christian woman? Or has the law ordered that Jews should only intermarry among themselves? I don't see how they're going to answer these things. These are tough questions, aren't they?